From the nation's capital, Monrovia. Good morning and welcome to King's Newsman, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Tuesday, August 9th, 2025, and I'm Newton to representing. Stories we're following this morning. The 10th Judicial Circuit Court in Waterman indicts Lofa County University President Dr. Asif Poda and 10 other senior officials of the institution for the investment US 410,000 and Liberian dollars 13.3 million. Minister of Finance and Development, Lenny Augustine Gafan rejects General Auditing Commission US 2.8 million of budget spending for 2025 fiscal year, challenges LCC to initiate immediate forensic audit, but resigned senior economic consultant CMN Code accuses Gafan of lack of accountability and weak internal controls. University of Liberia Student Unification Party vows to continue protests across New York campuses. Describe House Speaker Richard Cohn recent mediation as short of meeting students' concerns. Away from Liberia, Donald Trump has threatened tougher sanctions against Russia after its heaviest area bombardment on Ukraine since the war began. And Israel's Supreme Court has ruled that the state is failing to provide adequate food to Palestinian prisoners and must take steps to improve their nutrition. These plus the news bulletin, our international development, our package, but a take a very short break. I'll be right back. Welcome back, and let's now have the news bulletin. The Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission has confirmed that the 10th Judicial Circuit Court in Ronjama, Lofa County, indictment of Lofa County University President Dr. Asif Poda and several other senior officials of the university. They are accused of economic sabotage, theft of property, misuse of public funds, and criminal conspiracy. The indictment was issued on Tuesday, September 2nd, and signed by the resident circuit judge, Nesit Finda Samin, based on evidence provided by the LCC following a comprehensive audit into financial irregularities amounting to approximately US 410,000 and Liberian dollars 13.3 million. Those indicted include Dr. Asif Poda, President, Dr. Stephen Gaiman, former President, Reverend Victor Pablo, Chairman of the Board, Madam Annie Flomo, Bo Co-Chair Anthony Creton, Administrative Assistant Dawolo Katakui, Vice President for Administration. Others are Peter Taylor, former Comptroller, Vamua Kanem, Aliyu Kamara, Amara Sharif, among others. According to the document on January 16, 2025, an audit conducted by the Comptroller and Accountant General revealed 13 ghost names on the payroll amounting to 12,000 United States dollars. The indictment said 48,335 United States dollars illegally paid on specified number of people with no employment record. The document alleged that the university's former president, comptroller, and payroll technician at the Civil Service Agency, siphoned 15,939 United States dollars from the covers. On January 14, 2025, a check of 3,350 United States dollars were released to Annie Flomo, co-chair of the board, for sitting, but said amount was used solely for the benefit of Mr. Poda, President, LCU, Reverend Patmo, Bo Chair, and Madam Flomo, Bo Co-Chair. Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafon has strongly refuted recent report by the General Auditing Commission indicating misuse of 2.8 million of budget spending during the 2025 fiscal year. The GSC report released earlier this month claimed that an audit of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning uncovered 2.8 million in the expenditures made without proper documentation or authorization under the National Budget Framework of 2025. However, in response to the report Monday on state radio, Minister Gafwan dismissed the allegations, claiming that no such off-budget spending occurred during the fiscal year 2025 budget. Finance Minister further challenged the LCC to initiate an immediate forensic audit to thoroughly investigate the reported allegations, and emphasized that a full and transparent audit will clarify whether the issue stemmed from 2025 fiscal budget year. Minister Kafwan also urged the LCC to expand the scope of its forensic investigation to include the 2025 fiscal year, stressing the need for consistency and accuracy in auditing public funds across multiple budget periods. In a related development, Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafon has stated that the University of Liberia's request for US $500,000 to support its reopening qualifies as off-budget spending at category of funding. The ministry is treating with caution due to transparency concerns. The clarification follows recent remarks by Dr. Lily Mapayan, president of the University of Liberia, who appeared before the Liberian Senate Committee on Education. During her appearance before Senate Committee on Education, Dr. Mapaya revealed that the university urgently requires 500,000 United States dollars to resume full academic operations. She further told lawmakers that she had written to the Ministry of Finance requesting the funds, citing the critical need to reopen the institution and restore normal functions. However, speaking Monday on state radio, Minister Gafon acknowledged receipt of the university's communication but expressed concern over the nature of the request. Gafon stated that given the current climate and public scrutiny surrounding such expenditures, the ministry is evaluating how best to handle the situation. The minister noted that the ministry has come on increasing criticism from media institutions and civil society organizations regarding alleged off-budget transactions, an issue that has drawn attention in recent audit and anti-corruption reports. At the same time, resigned senior economic consultant at the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, CMN Co, has criticized Finance Minister Augustine Gafwan's leadership, accusing him of poor administrative oversight and allowing the ministry to operate on autopilot. In a strongly statement issued regarding the 2.8 million United States dollars of budget spending, the former consultant alleged that the ministry is plagued by lack of coordination, weak internal controls, and minimal accountability. May Cole pointed to the 2025 General Auditing Commission report, which revealed that the government through the Ministry of Finance could not account for US 2.8 million in public funds term aid as a result of Minister Gafwan's weak leadership at the ministry. It urged the ministry's response to the audit, blaming documentation issues as a weak excuse, especially given the extensive internal paper trail required for financial transactions. The University of Liberia campus-based Student Unification Party has strongly rejected recent efforts by House Speaker Richard Cohn to restore calm at the institution, vowing to continue protests over what it describes as long-standing grievances. Speaker Cohn recently met with the university's authorities and representatives of SUP in an attempt to mediate ongoing tension between students and the administration. However, speaking to journalists on Monday at the university's Capitol Hill campus, SUP leaders condemned what they called poor state of facilities across the UL campuses, reiterated corruption allegations against the university's leadership. They described the decision by the university to resume normal academic and administrative operations as an affront and disservice to the student body, arguing that it ignores the critical issues they have raised. The student group further criticized UL President Dr. Lily Mapoyan, describing her 7 months leadership at the university as a complete failure. The Merged Federation of Motorcycle and Tricycle Union of Liberia, through its National Executive Committee, has declared a vote of no confidence in its president, John Kenyon. MFM2L National Executive Committee also announced a major leadership changes following the removal of its president. During a press conference Monday, the group vice president for operations, Stephen Weir, said it was important to inform the general public, especially motorcyclists, tricyclists, and partner organizations across Liberia about the recent developments. The Merged Federation of Motorcycle and Tricycle Union in Liberia National Executive Committee noted that the leadership change is aimed at strengthening the organization's operation and restoring confidence among its members. We had explained that the executive committee has moved to restructure the federation's leadership to ensure stability and accountability. And what has been described as the strategic international engagement on behalf of Liberia's legal community, the president of the Liberia National Bar Association, Councillor Bonnet Varma, is expected to undertake a multi-week official mission to the United States. The trip is expected to last between 3 weeks to 1 month, which involves visit to several states and institutions as part of efforts to build partnerships and mobilize support for the legal sector of the country. According to Councillor Obama, the primary objectives of the visit include fostering exchange programs for Liberian lawyers and law students, identifying opportunities for capacity building initiatives, and seeking logistical support to bolster the Bar Association program and infrastructure. Councillor Obama maintained that the trip is fully sponsored by the LMBA's constitutional mandate, which provides for collaboration with international bar, and also emphasized that the National Executive Council of the Bar has been briefed and approved the trip, and also made a comment recently in an interview with reporters. President Joseph Boakai has reaffirmed Liberia's unwavering respect for the China policy, describing it as a cornerstone for the nation's foreign policy. Remarking over the weekend at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex in Congo Town, where Liberia joined the People's Republic of China in celebrating the 76th anniversary of its founding and 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, President Boakai congratulated President Xi Jinping and the people of China on the occasion marking the 80th anniversary of the victory against Japan. Boakai described the anniversary a historic milestone that reflects the resilience, determination, and achievements of the Chinese people. He noted that Liberia and China have enjoyed a long-standing friendship since 1977, producing tangible benefits in health, education, infrastructure, and other vital sectors. He stressed that his administration remains committed to a foreign policy built on peace, mutual respect, and multilateral cooperation. President Boakai emphasized that partnership, whether with China or other international allies, must serve the common goal of fostering a more peaceful, secure, and prosperous world. For his part, China's ambassador to Liberia, Yan Shikuan, re-echoed the significance of the commemoration, highlighting China's transformation over the 76 years and the sacrifices made during the War II. The Liberian National Police has given an update on the investigation of the alleged murder of a black rider identified as Roden Datu in Ganta, Nimba County. Last week, motorcyclists were engaged in the wild protest following the discovery of the lifeless body of one of their colleagues, resulting into the police shooting tear gas in order to bring the situation under control. The protests were held in demand of justice in the killing of Roden Datu, assumed the body of the motorcyclist. Barely 1 day after the protest in Ganta, 2 men were arrested by community watch team while attempting to sell motorcycle. Speaking in an interview with the police report, the commander of the police detachment in Ganta, Nimba County, Assistant Commissioner of Police Merlin Permin, disclosed that the document of the motorcycle on which Roland Datu was riding does not correspond with the back in police custody. Former Minister of Justice Councillor Musa Dean has challenged graduates of high schools to make their existence on earth worthwhile in order to impact society positively. Councillor Dean said every human being has a destiny, and at the end of the existence, everyone will have to take the exit, but the present service to humanity and community will be used by the next generations. He made a statement when he delivered the keynote speech marking the 9th commencement convocation of the Mother Tulsi Stewart Apostolic Pentecostal Mission School in Broadview outside Monrovia during the weekend. At the end of the program, 52 students were awarded certificates for successfully completing the requirements of the school and the Ministry of Education. The Center for National Documents and Records Agency, Wikia Foundation, on Monday joined the world at large to commemorate International Literacy Day in Monrovia. Speaking at the event, Assistant Minister for Basic and Secondary Education, Abad Kanga, described the link between literacy, dignity, and opportunity. According to Kanga, when literacy is low, parents are unable to support their children's education, farmers can't read instructions, and businesses suffer due to lack of skilled workers. He stressed the importance of involving literacy education to meet the demands of the digital age. At the same time, Deputy Director General for National Archives, Global Doman, called on parents to play an active role in their children's learning journey. He added that the National Archives remain committed to pushing for policies that treat literacy as both a public good and fundamental human right. APM Terminals. Liberia has reaffirmed its commitment to youth empowerment by sponsoring the 2025 YMCA Annual Children Vacation Sports Program. The program, held over the weekend, marks the fourth consecutive year for the company in partnership with YMCA Liberia to support over 400 children from Montserrat County with support in digital literacy and skill training. The month-long program, which ended over the weekend in Monrovia, saw children receive training in basketball, computer literacy, arts, and cultural activities, with several participants awarded for their outstanding performances. At the close of the ceremony, the head of operations at APM Terminals, 18 Christopher St. Jean, re-emphasized the company's broader purpose of impacting children in education, especially in sports, digital literacy, and skills training. Also speaking at the program, YMCA Liberia Montserrat County Coordinator Martin Allen expressed appreciation for the partnership. He highlighted how the program has grown into skill and impacting children in various skills. The YMCA Montserrat County Coordinator lauded APM Terminals Liberia for the support. Also in remarks, one of the participants, identified as Stephen Piso, shared her excitement, noting that the program has made significant effort to impact in the lives of Liberians. Prison Authority has confirmed that some of the defendants in the arson case and Criminal Code A have rejected seeking medical examination at the John F. Kennedy Hospital in Single, despite Judge Roosevelt Woolley's order for them. Judge Woolley's September 4, 2025 order, according to our judicial correspondent, was triggered by defense lawyer Counselor Arthur Johnson's submission to the court and that his clients were tortured and sodomized by state securities while that's with the intent to light on the former House Speaker Funatit Kofa and others. Defense lawyer Counselor Arthur Johnson claimed was among several issues raised before the court to suppress government lawyers' pieces of evidence on ground that it was obtained illegally. Judge Woolley said that the issue of torture and sodomy were grave. As such, the defendants needed medical checkup as means of establishing the truthfulness of the defense lawyer's account before making any decision on this motion to suppress evidence. The former House Speaker is among 14 other defendants who were indicted by the Special Grand Jury of Montserrat County in connection to the burning of the Capitol building on December 18, 2024. They were indicted for multiple offenses ranging from criminal conspiracy, criminal facilitation, attempt to commit murder, arson, and criminal mischief, among others. And Bon County Senator Prince Mui has stressed the need for the affairs of the Bon County Council to be void of politics in order for them to discharge their responsibilities without interference. He noted that local government act gives the county council the right to allot budget based on the county development agendas. According to the senator, all those who are having issues to raise should wait for the next county council sitting during which budget for the county will be allotted. Speaking in an interview in Banga, Senator Moise said it doesn't augur well for politicians to interfere with the workings of the county council. What if you just joining us? A reminder you listening to King's News Run, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories will follow in this morning. The 10th Judicial Circuit Court in Bunchaman indicts Norfolk County University President Dr. Asif Poda and other senior officials of the institution for investing US 410,000 and Liberian dollars 13.3 million. Minister of Finance and Development, Planning Augustine Gavon, rejects General Auditing Commission US 2.8 million of budget spending for 2025 fiscal year, challenges LAC to initiate immediate forensic audit, but resigned senior economic consultant Cement Code accuses Gavon of lack of accountability and weak internal controls. University of Liberia Student Unification Party vows to continue protests across all UL campuses, described House Speaker Richard Cohn's recent mediation as short of meeting students' concerns. And away from Liberia, Donald Trump has threatened tougher sanctions against Russia after its heaviest area bombardment on Ukraine since the war began. Israel's Supreme Court has ruled that the state is failing to provide adequate food for Palestinian prisoners and must take steps to improve their nutrition. These are stories we're following here this morning on King's News Room. We'll take another short break and we'll come back. We'll bring you the voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back. And on this one now, Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gavon has strongly refuted a recent report by the General Auditing Commission indicating misuse of 2.8 million in off-budget spending during the 2025 fiscal year. The GSA report released earlier this month claimed that an audit of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning uncovered 2.8 million in expenditures made without proper documentation or authorization under the National Budget Framework of 2025. However, in response to the report, Monday on State Radio, Minister Gavon dismissed the allegations, claiming that no such off-budget spending occurred during the fiscal year 2025 budget.
Auditors don't come to say you are stealing. They come and find system weaknesses that you need to work on. But in this environment of vulnerability, where people project negativity on people, when they see audit report, they conclude. And that is the reason why we are asking for more literacy on these matters. So that's what the auditor said. And so working on it, these institutions are around. Some of the payment was done for county health teams, River G or school system. They are all listed. So how come somebody comes and say, Augustine Gavon 2.8 million? Are you a thief wanting your thief rate to be projected on me? So you want to confess thief rate? Confess. When the audit reports, when they come out, journalists want to sell. In fact, some journalists came up 78 million. They put me in sort of dollars, 78 million. We will organize these things for people to understand. Okay. The other thing they said, maybe you haven't raised it, I think they use a harsher word. They said lack of. They didn't say problem with adequate documentation. Lack of documentation. That's what they said. And then, if you ascribe thievery to 2.8, are you saying, by extension of the logic, that the people that had it, they stole 4.27 billion in 2020? 3, and some of them moving around. 2.8. Do you know what it was 2023? 96 million. I repeat, in 2023, they said 2.8. 2.8 here. It tells you the system improvement that has happened. So these audit reports are out there. The NCC will take the audit report because audit reports don't necessarily imply fraud. Now they will take a forensic eye and say, okay, let's investigate. Because for fraud, the definition of fraud is intent and action. Someone who has done this to steal from government, or it could just be error, misstatement, documentation. It is a responsibility of acting the NCC to investigate, whether it is this year or last year's stuff or 2.8 in the previous year of 96. I'm asking the NCC. This is a clarion call from the Minister of Finance because they are charmed, but they are in power. The GNC does surface stuff. NCC, please investigate this for this one. Please investigate this. I beg the NCC. So 2024, 2023, NCC investigate. Yeah, okay. This thing will be put to.
In a related development, Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafon has stated that the University of Liberia request for US $500,000 to support its reopening qualifies as off-budget spending, a category of funding the ministry is treating with caution due to transparency concerns. The clarification follows recent remarks by Dr. Lily Mapaya, president of the University of Liberia, who appeared before the Liberian Senate Committee on Education. During her press conference, or appearance before the Senate Committee on Education, Dr. Mapaya revealed that the university urgently requires $500,000 to resume full academic operations. She further told lawmakers that she had written to the Ministry of Finance requesting the funds, citing the critical need to reopen the institution and restore normal functions.
Extra money to any government entity is something that you guys in the press love to call off budget. I see your front page, off budget, and they make it to look like it's a crime. This university crisis is going to highlight something because we'll transition into the GAC report, right? Any extra money that was not budgeted that you were asking for, is off budget. So those that don't understand off budget, this university request is off budget. Yes, it's off budget. It's beyond their budget. So it is not, they're not acting for their budget. No, they don't have to exhaust their budget because most of the budget goes to salaries and other things. University, let me say this. The government subsidy is not the only source of funding to the university. University collect fees and other things, So they determine what to do with it. So the government's budget, the government funding to the university is a subset of the university budget. And we're going to be getting into many other things. But I just want to say, so this request is off budget. And interestingly, the legislature is on break. This request, given the pressure, if we approve it, it will also be without legislative approval. Off budget, without legislative approval. I made headlines, off budget, that was so. Okay. And now, we're talking university. You all want me and somebody who has been giving people a spoonful of negativity, calling me names. Last year, off budget, was yelling, off budget, off budget, off budget. Then this year, he's talking, Governor Graduate University, he's a heartless man. Also, you want now, today, that I should do the off budget thing. You want me to do the off budget, right? Now you understand off budget? If you don't understand this thing here, if you don't understand, do not call good characters. Someone will say, I gave money to the university without legislative approval. That's a crime. Wait, just give me a chance. We are in the process of giving the university money, off budget money, in the process of giving the university money without legislative approval. Why? Senator McGay is not the legislature. That committee is not the legislature. The legislature comes with two houses. The legislature takes decision in session. So whatever engagement with a house does not suffice as a legislature.
He's Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafon speaking. Resigned economics consultant at the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, Seaman Cole, has criticized Finance Minister Augustine Gafon's leadership, accusing him of poor administrative oversight and allowing the ministry to operate on autopilot. In the strong statement issued regarding the 2.8 million United States dollars of budget spending, the former consultant alleged that the ministry is plagued by the lack of coordination, weak internal controls, and minimal accountability. May Code pointed out that the 2025 General Auditing Commission report, which revealed that the government, through the Ministry of Finance, could not account for US 2.8 million in public funds, terming it as a result of Minister Gafuan's weak leadership at the ministry.
Minister Gafwan have shown to be very incompetent in running the affairs of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. He's not a very good administrator at all. The ministry is just on autopilot, basically. All the ministers that are appointed, assistant, deputies, they're all doing their own thing, and there's no coordination from the Minister of Finance. Let's take, for example, simple thing in regards to administration or administrative issues. Gafwan himself said that, let's take the GSC report. That's the current one, GSC report that was done in 2025. GSC said that Gafwan and his ministers could not account for $2.8 million US dollars. And the Ministry of Finance came up with a rebuttal saying that they have an archive issue and that's why they could not account because the document lost in the archive. But that's not true. The document is there and they have reason why they are holding that document. The Ministry of Finance has great system in storage documentations. The Ministry of Finance to write a check of $5 to leave Ministry of Finance. It goes through at least 29 different persons. 29 different offices and units. If you say that you have archive issue, the archive of Ministry of Finance is way behind the mansion there by the ocean there. So every person that signs a document, Ministry of Finance keeps a copy of the signed document. When the document comes, all the documents are returned to the Minister of Finance and sent downstairs to the budget minister. From the budget minister, it goes to a city minister of budget, and it goes to the various units. The director of that particular unit does a memo to the minister saying that they have reviewed the document and they have met all the PFN laws, the procurement laws, the budget laws. So they advise that we go ahead and do allotment. He signs that document, he takes a copy, and then store himself and goes to the next chain. And it goes through probably, as I said, about 29 different persons. So there are 39 copies of each document that is kept as record in each of the units that touch that document. This is 2024 audit. I can still find the documents that I signed in 2014 in my office. Gafwan they got a document, but they don't want to put the document outside because one of the issues at Ministry of Finance is the off-budget spending. Off-budget spending is a budget or the money that's spent that's in the national budget, and that's one of the places where corruption is very entrenched because accountability is easier. Gafwan spoke about it and said, like, in most cases, they do off-budget when it's emergency. So you tell me, you gave $2,000 for. Was there any emergency at the airport recently? No. So Gafwan to answer this question.
He's senior economic consultant, resigned senior economic consultant at the Ministry of Finance and Development. Lenny Seaman Coder speaking. What if you just joining us with the time half past the hour of reminder? You're listening to King's News Broom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories will follow in this morning. A 10th Judicial Circuit Court in Benjamin indicts Norfolk County University President Dr. Asad Podat and 10 other senior officials of the institution for the investment US $410,000 and Liberian dollars 13.3 million. Minister of Finance and Development Planning Augustine Gafwan rejects General Auditing Commission US $2.8 million of budget spending for 2025 fiscal year, challenges LACC to initiate immediate forensic audit, but resigned senior economic consultant Seaman Code accuses Gafwan of lack of accountability and weak internal controls. University of Liberia Student Unification Party vows to continue protests across UL campuses, describe Hospital Richard Kuno recent mediation as short of meeting students' concerns. Away from Liberia, Donald Trump has threatened tougher sanctions against Russia after its heavier area bombardment on Ukraine since the war began. Israel's Supreme Court has ruled that the state is failing to provide adequate food to Palestinian prisoners and must take steps to improve their nutrition. These are stories we're following here this morning on King's News Broom. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll continue with more voices on the program. The University of Liberia's campus-based Student Unification Party has strongly rejected recent efforts by the House Speaker Richard Cohn to restore calm at the institution, vowing to continue protests over what it describes as long-standing grievances. Speaker Cohn recently met with the university's authority and representatives of the SUP in an attempt to mediate ongoing tension between students and the administration. However, speaking to journalists on Monday at the university's Capitol Hill campus, SUP leaders condemned what is described as poor state of facilities across UL campuses and reiterated corruption allegations against the university's leadership. They described the decision by the university to resume normal academic and administrative operation as an affront and disservice to the student body, arguing that it ignores the critical issues they have raised.
My plan is a disappointment, and my plan has failed to run a university. It's clear that in 3 days, we cannot see concrete things, especially our demands being answered decisively. Party will ensure that my plan leaves the University of Liberia, and there will be unspecified resolution. Prior to even having meeting with legislature in an attempt to have dialogue, we have had meetings. In 7 months, my plan has been president of the University of Liberia. The party has initiated tons of conversation on the issue of basic necessity of the students. Why is my plan not addressing it? Why is my plan not addressing the issue of buses? We ran a whole semester last semester without a single bus on the fender, and the party is clear. These are basic things that the university must achieve. You cannot be making 15,000 employing your credits. You are increasing the salary of a secretary to 437%, but you cannot provide the basic needs of the students. We see that as a disappointment, and we all are disappointed in the leadership of Mapaya. People thought that Mapaya coming to the University of Liberia, especially someone with different civilization, should effect a disaster policy at the University of Liberia upholding the rights of the people, especially the right to due process. Mapaya has engaged in witch hunting people, illegally dismissing people. She has refused to provide report that inform a decision to dismiss people. She has refused to address the basic situation on the campus. Our meeting with her, it was just a meeting to go and re-echo our position. And if she commit to it, or the government can commit to that, like we said, beginning Thursday, if we cannot see concrete action, especially ensuring that buses are finished, ensuring that the iron drop issue can be addressed, ensuring that this semester that is coming be a second semester, full second semester, so that the vacation school can be a vacation school, ensuring that she can make available report that inform our decision to dismiss people, ensuring that she can get rid of so-called employee, so-called people she has employed to the University of Liberia. There will be a specified action. The party will ensure that my parents leave the university.
The leadership of the Student Unification Party during a press conference yesterday. The Merged Federation of Motorcycle and Tricycle Union of Liberia, through its National Executive Committee, has thus declared a vote of no confidence in its president, John Kyon. MFMTUL National Executive Committee also announced a major leadership changes following the removal of its president. During the press conference on Monday, the group vice president for operations, Stephen Weah, said it was important to inform the general public, especially motorcyclists, tricyclists, and partner organizations across Liberia about the recent developments. The Merged Federation of Motorcycle and Tricycle Union of Liberia National Executive Committee noted that the leadership change is aimed at strengthening the organization's operation and restoring confidence among its members. Weah explained that the Executive Committee has moved to restructure the Federation's leadership to ensure stability and accountability.
The National Executive Committee, NEC, and the incorporator of the Merged Federation of Motorcycle and Tricycle Union of Liberia, INFOM2, which is to inform the general public, partners, and all motorcyclists and tricyclists across Liberia of recent resolution and actions taken in the interest of the Federation. Following the removal of Mr. A. John F. Kenyon as President General of INFOM2, through a vote of no confidence passed on July 28, 2025, the National Executive Committee and the incorporator have unanimously resolved to restructure the Executive Committee as follows. Mr. Dwar Mola, current Vice President for Administration, VBA, is hereby selected, confirmed, and endorsed as an interim President General of the Maritime Federation of Motorcycle and Tricycle Union Liberia. Mr. Stephen W. We are Senior, current Vice President for Operations, is hereby selected, confirmed, and endorsed as Vice President for Administration. So Stephen, Mr. Anthony B. Sayon, Vice President for Motorcycle Affairs, is hereby selected, confirmed, and endorsed as Vice President for Operations. The following executive committee members shall retain their positions with the exception of the Vice President for Motorcycle Affairs, which is currently vacant. 1. Vice President for Trade, Commerce, and Investment, Mr. Donato G. Buffer. Vice President for Tricycle Affairs, Mr.
He's the Vice President for Operations of the Merged Federation of Motorcycle and Tricycle Union of Liberia. Stephen, we are there speaking. It would have been described as strategic international engagement on behalf of Liberia legal community. The president of the Liberia National Bar Association, Councillor Bonham Varma, is expected to undertake a multi-week official mission to the United States. The trip is expected to last between 3 weeks to a month, will involve visits to several states and institutions as part of efforts to build partnership and mobilize support for the legal sector of the country. According to Councillor Varma, the primary objectives of the visit include fostering exchange programs for Liberian lawyers and law students, identifying opportunities for capacity building initiatives, and seeking logistical support to bolster the Bar Association program and infrastructure. Councillor Varma maintained that the trip is fully supported by the LMBA's constitutional mandate, which provides for collaboration with international bars.
Invited me as national president of the Liberian National Bar Association to visit the U.S. to engage them on interventions in the interests of the Liberian lawyers, the entire legal community of the Republic of Liberia. So I will be departing the country, and I'm going to be away for between 3 weeks to 1 month. It's going to be hectic for me because I'm going to be traveling from states to states just to remain engaged with these relevant institutions and individuals in the interest of the Liberian National Bar Association. We are concerned about exchange programs for Liberian lawyers. We are concerned about exchange program for the Louis Adegran School of Law between the Louis Adegran School of Law and some of the universities in the U.S. We also are concerned about capacity building initiatives for Liberian lawyers. We are concerned about logistical support. You may be aware that we are about to complete the ground floor of our ambitious headquarters project. And so I'm going out there to look for opportunity to see how we can furnish that building. It's going to be hectic, but very, 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 very productive because this is something that we have since envisaged, and we think it's good that we're making this trip to the U.S. to make sure that the interests of members of the legal community of this country can be protected. So we are grateful to those institutions that have accorded us this invitation, which is going to provide us the opportunity to remain engaged with them during our stay in the U.S. And so we have provided briefing to the National Executive Council, and so they are quite informed about this trip. And so we are making this trip in that light to ensure that the bar interest is protected out there. You know, it is provided for under the Constitution of the Liberian National Bar Association that we are supposed to remain engaged with different bar associations around the world. And so it is in light of that constitutional provision that we are making this trip.
He's the president of the Liberian National Bar Association, Councillor Bonham Varma, there speaking. President Joseph Boakai has reaffirmed Liberia's unwavering respect for the One China policy, describing it as a cornerstone of the nation's foreign policy. Remarking over the weekend, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's ministerial complex in Congo Town, where Liberia joined the People's Republic of China in celebrating the 76th anniversary of its founding and the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. President Boakai congratulated President Xi Jinping and the people of China on the occasion marking the 80th anniversary of their victory against Japan. Boakai described the anniversary a holistic milestone that reflects the resilience, determination, and achievements of the Chinese people. He noted that Liberia and China have enjoyed a long-standing friendship since 1977, producing tangible benefits in health, education, infrastructure, and all of vital sectors. He stressed that his administration remains committed to a foreign policy built on peace, mutual respect, and multilateral cooperation.
war. This commemoration reminds us of the immense sacrifices made to uphold freedom and peace, and the collective responsibility of nations, large and small, to safeguard these values for all humanity. Liberia and China have enjoyed long-standing friendship since the establishment of diplomatic relations on February 17, 1977. Over the years, our partnership has brought tangible benefit to our people through collaboration to build infrastructure, health, education, and many other vital services. This September, we reiterated our relations to strategic partnership, demonstrating our shared commitment to deeper cooperation for mutual prosperity. As we strengthen these bonds, Liberia reaffirms its respect for the One China policy, while also remaining fully committed to advancing a foreign policy rooted in peace, mutual respect, and multilateral engagement. We believe that the partnership, whether with China or other international allies, must serve the common goal of a more peaceful, secure, and prosperous world. On this important occasion, I extend to the President Xi Jinping, to the people of China, our best wishes for continued peace and progress. May the friendship between Liberia and China continue to flourish.
He's Liberian President Joseph Boakai speaking. Away from Liberia, Donald Trump has threatened tougher sanctions against Russia after its heaviest aerial bombardment on Ukraine since the war began. Sunday's strike killed 4 people, including a mother and her baby, and damaged Ukraine's main government building in Kiev by the first time. The attack, which Ukraine said involved at least 810 drones and 13 missiles, has led to growing calls for stronger Western action against President Vladimir Putin. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Monday that no sanctions will ever be able to force Russia to change the consistent position that the president has repeatedly spoken about. Israel's Supreme Court has ruled that the state is failing to provide adequate food for Palestinian prisoners and must take steps to improve their nutrition. The three-judge bench said on Sunday that the government was legally obliged to provide prisoners with enough nutrition to ensure a basic level of existence. Thousands of Palestinians have been held in Israeli jails for years, including over terror charges, and thousands more have been detained since the war in Gaza began in October 2023. Thus, for ceasefire has stalled. But on Sunday night, US President Donald Trump issued a last warning to Hamas, urging them to accept a deal to release Israeli hostages from Gaza. On that note, this is how I would like to go home this morning on this edition of King's News, run a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home this morning, let's remind you of stories we've been following. The 10th Judicial Circuit Court in Virginia indicts Lofa County University President Dr. Asep Poda and 10 other senior officials of the institution for investing in US 410,000 in Liberian dollars, 13.3 million. Minister of Finance and Development Planning Augustine Kafwan rejects General Auditing Commission US 2.8 million of budget spending for fiscal year 2025, challenges LACC to initiate immediate forensic audit, but resigned senior economic consultant Seaman Code accuses Kafwan of lack of accountability and weak internal controls. University of Liberia Student Unification Party vows to continue protests across U.S. campuses, describe House Speaker Richard Cohn's recent mediation as short of meeting students' concerns. And away from Liberia, Donald Trump has threatened tougher sanctions against Russia after its heaviest aerial bombardment on Ukraine since the war began. Israel's Supreme Court has ruled that the state is failing to provide adequate food for Palestinian prisoners and must take steps to improve their nutrition. These are stories we follow here this morning on King's Newsroom. I would like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who helped in making this package. Our sources better still join us this afternoon at 1 o'clock, at which time we'll be here with another intriguing and splendid edition of the program. My name is Newton, Tokwana presented this edition of the program. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye bye.